Ready. Good day. I'm Kelly Giles.
And I'm Sarah Labus, and we are here with Republic Nation News, and we have got a lot to catch up on, Kelly, don't we?
Wait. It's not going to be boring, and
it's going to be fast and furious.
Yeah.
And, let's just start off with our local elections that are coming up.
Very good.
Go through the deadline, so if someone wants to file.
Okay, so we've got school board elections and city council elections coming up.
Yes.
And so the deadline to file is February 14th, which
Valentine's
we all
Day.
know, yeah.
So act of love for your
There you
community. If you want to file, that is coming up really soon.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
And could you tell us, let's go through the city council, first of all, who has filed. And we want to say when this comes out, probably we're going to have more people that have filed. But as of today, which is, what is today, the 7th?
Today's the 7th.
So this is who has filed so far.
Right.
So,
Patrick Miller has filed for Amarillo City Council.
yes, and also Sherry Wood.
Sherry Wood.
And we want to thank Josh Kraft for his service. Yeah. I know he's not rerunning and chose not to and released a statement. But Josh, we thank you and your family
thank you very
for your
much.
time. So
Yes, well served. A lot of challenges and a lot of work put in.
Yes.
In those first 2 years on City Council. But I believe both those people are running for place one.
Yes.
And so we also anticipate that Tim Reed
Okay.
is going to run in place one.
Okay.
So we're anticipating that, but he has not announced.
Okay.
We anticipate that Tom Sherlin will also announce.
Yes.
And he's place 3.
Okay.
And then, of course, Don Tips has already announced.
For place 2.
For place 2. And also Les Simpson for place 4, I believe.
Perfect.
And so I think Jason Herrick.
Yes. He announced, I believe it was today, was the official announcement for him.
For mayor.
For mayor.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
And there's the lady is
Misty Collier.
Misty Collier is running as well.
Yes.
And we do anticipate that the incumbent, Mayor Stanley, will also throw his hat in the race.
Yes.
We're anticipating that. And so we have a full, I guess a game on is what it is.
Yes.
Game on for the mayor. But also we have school board races running.
Yes.
There's still people filing. There's still another week before the deadline. So we anticipate a few people to file next week.
Okay.
And so, but we have debates coming up. Also, we've scheduled debates. So this will be in cooperation with High Plains Republican Women, Amarillo Republican Women, and the Randall County Republican Party, and also Conservative Patriots for Texas. We've all teamed up to put on a series of debates.
When are those debates?
The first debate will be on March the 20th. And every debate is going to have the same time start up. Doors will open at 5:30, and debate will begin at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And the first one is scheduled at First Family Church over on Bell Street, over on Bell Street, First Family Church. And so that will happen on March the 20th. And then we go 1 week later on March the 27th. And
what is on March 20th? What debate is that?
On March 20th. So we'll back up. March 20th, it's going to be an all-encompassing forum. So it's mostly going to be a candidate introduction. So everybody will be there, school board, city council, also for Canyon and for Amarillo, and then also Amarillo College.
Okay. Everybody
that's running for Amarillo College. So it's an introductory. So if you'll come to First Family Church, which is a very nice location, lots of parking, next to Jorge's Restaurant. So if you want to eat before you come, you're in great shape. But anyway, it'll be an introductory forum, and it'll be moderated by, I believe, the High Plains Republican Women. And I think, in fact, they have a radio personality. So I'll keep everybody in suspense. A local radio personality will be the moderator, and then. So it's just a night to meet and greet all the candidates. They will have tables there. And they'll have all their push cards, whatever, so you can ask them any questions you want. They're on March the 27th for whatever race you're interested in. But then we'll advance to March the 27th.
Yes. And
on March the 27th, that now we'll break down into our specific races. So we will be at the Cole building, the community building in Canyon on March the 27th. And that'll just be for CISD, school board, And actually, if we have competitive races in the Canyon City Council, we'll probably do those first with the school board to come after.
How many places are there for CISD for them to run?
There
Just so
are
we know.
5 seats on the ballot.
Okay.
There's going to be at least, I want to say, 3. I believe. I believe all incumbents may be running. I'm not sure. We'll have to see because nobody's filed yet.
Okay.
But there'll be 5 places open, so lots of room to run. But we'll also take care of Canyon City Council that night. Mm-hmm. Then we'll advance to April 1st. So there's the big one. There is Amarillo Mayor and City Council, and they will have their own event. And the location is yet to be decided, but it will be on April 1st. But we'll put that out and go to Randall County GOP when March 1 hits, and we will put that up on our website. Then we advance to April 10th, which it's also yet to be decided, but that will be the Amarillo ISD and Amarillo College. They'll be combined. So we'll get all that out, go to Randall County GOP on March 1, and we'll have all that info right there for you.
I'm impressed how you have all these dates and kind of times memorized because there's a lot. So
yeah, Cody, you don't see Cody. He's over here
and he
with
has,
a big sign.
Yeah, and he has no notes. I at least have my phone with some notes, so he's just doing this on the fly.
Cue cards. Cue cards are great.
Okay, so moving on from everybody filing and who's running, let's talk about our national updates. And
Whoa.
Donald Trump has been using his pen quite frequently with all his executive orders right now.
How many has he done?
So 54 is what I'm showing as of now, but he's on track to have the record in 100 days, and I'm not surprised.
So
with everything
I
going
got
on.
one question for the audience because we like to include you. Are you tired of winning yet?
Of course not, is the answer.
We want to win some more.
Yes. So just to go over some of the confirmation picks and where they're at, Pam Bondi has officially been confirmed by the Senate as our U.S. Attorney General. And within the first 24 hours, the DOJ has sued Illinois over the sanctuary city laws. And so they are going after these sanctuary cities to comply with the federal government to get these criminals off the street and out of our country. So I just applaud her for, they are not wasting time.
No.
They're being swift and quick in everything that they're doing. So, yes.
Wow, yeah, and we're rolling. There's so much to talk about on those executive orders.
Yes.
And I'll let you go first. I've got my list.
I was just going to add, so Art, I spoke with him briefly this morning.
Art, remind us who that is.
He's the vice president of the Border Patrol Council, and he lives in Arizona. He messaged me and said the numbers are down, but they still have got-away numbers, especially in Arizona. The Texas governor, Governor Abbott, is helping as always, but politicians in Arizona, California, and New Mexico are horrible. That were the exact words. So especially the governors and the city mayors. So that's his update. I mean, the numbers and, everything's going down, but we are still, it's not fixed 100%. It's going to take some time.
Yes, it will take time.
It's a very broken system.
It's going the right direction, though.
Yes. One of the other things that I'm going to add that as a pharmacist, I thought this was highly interesting, and for anybody that's in the medical field, is that it's called HALT, Halt of All Lethal Trafficking of Fentanyl Act that passed, I believe it was yesterday in the House. And what it is to permanently amend the Controlled Substance Act to reflect the current scheduling order of fentanyl. So if you are familiar with fentanyl, it is a Schedule 2. And what this does is it would actually make it a Schedule 1. So if they make it a Schedule 1, do we have access to it in the pharmacy? So this is a really interesting question to see if this is, just fentanyl on the streets or if this is including across the board.
Yeah, since you are a pharmacist, from a medical standpoint, what is fentanyl used for?
So it's
treatment?
For pain control.
Pain control.
So, and it has different, it can be used in surgical procedures as well. But, a lot of patients I see in retail pharmacy are on them with patches, We use them in cancer patients or in home hospice patients. So this is concerning to me if this has passed, because it's going to change and rock the medical and pharmacy world. If this is true all the way across the board, I was even asking my market manager, and he was unaware because it's so new. So it came out like everybody's just kind of looking at it today. And I need to read the bill, and I haven't had time to see, but I did look. Ronnie did vote for it, and he's a physician. So I'm kind of guessing that this is just fentanyl on the streets, not fentanyl like in the pharmacy.
And
because that would really affect things, I think, maybe negatively. So I'm hoping, it looks like it passed 312 to 108, and it was 107 Democrats that voted against it.
Well, naturally.
Yes.
So when you referred to Ronnie Jackson, so Ronnie Jackson.
Yes, sorry, Ronnie Jackson. Yes.
Our rep for the 13th district.
Yes.
And that's almost worth an episode of all the things that he's doing.
Right.
We may not see Ronnie around too much here in the month of February because he is going all over the world. He's helping Trump. He's one of Trump's right-hand men. And so we have to pray for Ronnie and pray protection over him and just have our best will toward him as he goes around the country and does this business for us to get our country lined back out. So Ronnie, if you're out there, we appreciate you very much. But fentanyl, maybe that's the cowboy slang. Fentanyl is so it's used for medicinal purposes. So when it gets the bad rep, is it just from overdose, or are there different levels of fentanyl?
So it's so concentrated. So you could take like 5 grains of it, and that's almost, if you have 2, I believe it's 2 milligrams, that's like a lethal dose. So it's so highly concentrated, and it's made in China, it's brought through Mexico, and then it's coming up through our border. But necessarily, passing this, let's say it's not across the board, I think, not affecting pharmacies, I think that's okay. But if it does, I'm not sure how that's really going to maybe be like a positive impact. But I think we need to just wait and see how that plays out. I have a feeling it's street fentanyl and it's not fentanyl.
That's a good point, because as I understand, it's the dosage concentration that gives people problems.
Yes.
On the illicit fentanyl that comes over. And it's not necessarily controlled or regulated. So it's so easy to overdose on it.
Yes, it is. I mean, it can get on your skin, and then say you wash your hands or alcohol your hands, it's really going to absorb more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so dangerous. And I think that's why we're seeing the tariffs. We're seeing the tariffs in Mexico and China and Canada. And part of it is because of the fentanyl crisis that we've had. Is why Trump, he's just, he's not playing a game with this. So
well,
I don't think he's ever played a game.
So stay tuned. There's more to come on this.
Yes.
The border is going the right direction, but it's still not where we want it to be. But they are working on it. And I think I saw where we actually sent federal troops, Army Corps, to the border. And also, so this brings up the immigration deal, is that one of the negotiations on the tariffs with Mexico, if I'm jumping ahead, we'll come back.
No, you're good.
Is that, a lot of people were kind of nervous about the tariffs. But, I always remember Teddy Roosevelt. He said, speak softly, but carry a big stick. Well, Trump gets half that right. He has a big stick. Yeah. And so, but it's not Trump's way to speak softly, and we love him for it. But anyway, I think, Mexico has sent 10,000 troops to the border to patrol their side. And I think that's what we need, because just doing it on our side makes us such easy targets for our guys and our servicemen. And so I think that's the first thing that was accomplished in the tariff showdown. And we understand that's on pause for 30 days. And we'll come back and
I've been a little confused on it. It seems like it's going to go into effect and then they pause it. So they're still negotiating.
Yeah, so it's paused for 30 days, as I understand.
Okay.
So also, same deal with Canada. So Canada, we need help shutting down the illicit fentanyl coming from the northern border. And so Canada is also agreeing to move troops to the border in certain locations to help thin down the fentanyl traffic. So that's very good. Also on a pause with Canada for 30 days on the tariff negotiations. So in understanding, in my background in the beef business, I used to be closely affiliated with the beef packing system, and we are a North American market. So trade, although the river in the south and the imaginary line, Canadian line on the north, there's a lot of commerce that goes across those borders every day. And all of our businesses are intertwined. But by the same token, I think, speaking of a line, we have to draw a line and say, hey, we can't be taken advantage of anymore. And we got to straighten these things out. So that's what they're doing in this 30 days is, I believe, Marco Rubio, and then also the Commerce Secretary. And I believe there's one more secretary that's going to be involved. But they're going to negotiate these tariffs and this new trade agreement for North America. So we're looking forward to that and seeing how we'll come out on that. But we are a North American trade, what I want to say, culture. So there's products been going back and forth across all borders all the time. We sell things both ways. We buy things both ways. And so we love our neighbors, but by the same token, we want to work out a little bit better deal than from our end.
Yes. One of the other confirmation picks that are still in process, which may be completed, by the time this actually airs, is Kash Patel for FBI director.
Oh yeah, I like
and
him.
Did you watch the Senate hearing for him by chance?
Just a little bit. Whoa.
He was great. He was
Yes.
one of my favorites. And when Senator Klobuchar was, she was talking, she's like, if you would give me 5 hours, I could. And he said, you got 2 minutes. I mean, just rattled it off so fast. And that was my favorite line from him. But, he brought his parents in. I believe it was a sister that was sitting there. And he is just a really sharp person. And I think he's going to be perfect for the job. So he went through the Senate committee hearing. He passed that, but I don't think he's gone before the Senate yet. Robert F. Kennedy, Director for Health and Human Services, he is also went through his Senate hearing. It was very interesting when he started bringing up with Bernie Sanders about he's the number one donor from PBMs. And so that was really telling, and Bernie Sanders was getting really...
Pharmaceutical, PBMs, pharmaceuticals.
Yes, yeah, pharmaceutical benefit managers. And so just as a pharmacist, I'm a pretty big RFK fan on quite a few different areas. So I think, he's already shaking and rocking the boats with the pharmaceutical industry. So
I don't know, this is just a small thing on RFK. I mean, he was born on the other side of the political spectrum. But he's made his way at least to the middle, or maybe across the middle on our side.
Just like Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, like Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
And so, what's funny is his the left wing from where he came or his family lies, they're attacking him pretty heavily. So I would assume that he has crossed the line over to the conservative side. So. I appreciate him very much. And there is a lot to be said about our health system. When I was growing up, they came up with this food pyramid. Everybody out there my age will know what that was on the food pyramid. But we're kind of having a little bit different approach. Proteins, a protein-based diet is probably where you want to start these days, and a very limited carbohydrates, all whole foods. That seems to be where the food recommendations are flowing. So I don't want to pick on anybody's diet out there, but there are a lot of changes coming in that food pyramid. And
it's never too late for a New Year's resolution.
That's right. Never too late. And in fact, I'm on one. I know y'all can look and you can see this is getting flatter. Okay, just use your imagination. It's getting flatter. But anyway, it is the protein diet, has worked for a lot of people.
And I believe it was red dye 3 that was banned, and it's known possibly to cause ADHD. So, I've seen the images of Fruity Pebbles where you have we have very vivid colors in our cereal, whereas internationally they're more bland because they don't allow those food dyes. So just seeing what he ends up doing, I think is going to be really interesting. So
I think we're in for a lot of good things there.
I do too.
And I'm very impressed with all the appointees so far.
Yes.
I've been very impressed.
Tulsi Gabbard, also director of national intelligence. I didn't get to watch hers in detail, but she did make it out of the Senate committee hearing of what I know, correct? So she will go before the Senate for a vote. And so we'll just see how it all plays out. But it's moving fast. So one other item is Caroline Leavitt, who's the new press secretary. And I watched her first news press, and she was unbelievable when I watched her. At 27 years old, she handled the room so well. And she's a rock star when I watched her on TV. The questions, how she answered, how she controlled the room with the media. I mean, she wasn't just asking from Fox or CNN. She would go to Breitbart into the back of the room that people that don't normally get to ask questions. And she was just very fair on how she answered the questions. And so I've just got to say, I was really impressed with her as a press secretary.
We're in for something different. When we have people in positions of power and influence that are seeking truth and are seeking transparency, I think that's something different for us. We're not used to that. And so what I've learned, especially in becoming a Trump follower, is just whenever something's said or something comes out in the news, just give it a few days for all the information to settle before making a decision. But I think there's going to be a lot of truth. So this is something I want to. I definitely wanted to hit on here. So are we ready for USAID?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So we're finding that I believe it was USAID, and I think it could have been another organization closely affiliated. But apparently, the New York Times and other cable news organizations were receiving payments from the federal government. This is a huge deal.
Oh.
Because if that actually proves out in court.
When did that come out?
That just came out yesterday.
Okay.
That the New York Times, that's the headliner there, actually received payments from that government organization. And so that means that they shift away because Trump just won $10 billion from CBS.
Over that, when they cut and edited Kamala Harris's answer with Israel.
They edited her words. And so that means that all these years that they've been receiving those payments, that there's a possibility that they have to consider all of that paid advertising. Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one.
That's a big one. So there's more to come on this, so just keep watching that. But USAID was a special organization set up to distribute money to...
At first, when I saw it, I was kind of confused when it said AID rather than USDA, like Department of Agriculture. So that's not what we're talking about here.
So it's USAID.
Right.
And so they set it up specifically to help a way to micromanage to get people in need money. But apparently, terrorists are people in need. Apparently, transgender programs in Yemen are in need. So a lot of the funding went to places that most of us would consider not necessary funding. And so they were the management for USAID or USAID. They were locked out of their offices by DOGE, which is the Department of Government Efficiency. They were locked out, and there's still a lot to come out.
I think that's
in
what
that
I saw on TV
report.
this morning, because there were Democrat Congress people standing outside of the department agency this morning trying to get in.
Department of Education.
Education, yes.
Because it looks like I'm hopeful that we will eliminate the Department of Education on a national level, or greatly reduce its size,
or start over.
Because we really need to control education from a local level. And I won't get into that, but
we'll talk about some of that coming
up. That's just
up.
my heart.
Yes, absolutely. And just to talk about one other executive order, Raleigh Gaines, she really spearheaded to stop men and women's sports. And either it was yesterday or the day before, Donald Trump had all these girls around him and signed for.
That was wonderful.
It was neat. Yeah, it was a really neat experience. I mean, he had all ages there. And I know just growing up, I ran track, and I would never want to compete against a male. There's no way I'd be able to win.
Well,
and they're going to withhold federal funding that through these universities if they do not honor this. So, which they should. So,
yeah, and that's true. And I've felt for girls, especially high school girls, and college girls, just the past several years. I mean, biological males should just not be competing in girls' sports.
You wouldn't even think that we would even have to sign an executive order
to
even do it.
that.
Like 10 years ago, even I'd be like, no, we don't even need to worry about that.
Which brings us back to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, man, they're cleaning house on that, aren't they? Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing, and something that when the helicopter ran into the airplane,
yes,
is that the reason that you promote based on merit, in other words, a meritocracy,
no matter your skin, race,
doesn't matter,
creed, anything. It's who's the most talented out there.
Who's the most talented? So that's what's important when you're up in the skies. And or you're out on the highway, and your life is in the balance in some way. You want the best person possible in that control tower, and so
that was so tragic. First of all, I mean, I think there were 64 people on board, and then there were 3 in the helicopter. And some were, professional ice skaters. I mean, regardless of who was on that plane, it just was really sad. Kind of makes you a little scared to fly, too, when something like that happens.
And so as I understand, the control tower, the reason that they were short a controller is because of the DEI, that they couldn't hire enough people because of the DEI restrictions. And so if you can imagine, okay, I walk in as a white male, and I've got the most talent. Well, we've got to bring these other people ahead of you because they fit the DEI restrictions. They maybe don't even know what they're doing. So think this through. If the most talented person is rejected, and everybody knows they're the most talented, they're like, well, I'm not going to apply for a job here. You guys are crazy. I'm going to go work somewhere else. And so that is the problem with DEI.
I think all these policies are just to get back to common sense.
Yes.
Which, unfortunately, is not so common anymore, it seems like. But it's just basic common sense of what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah. So we want everybody to live up to their fullest potential, male, female, and I just believe there's a male and a female. I don't believe there's anything in between.
And I think God created us that way to have different roles.
Yes.
And we need to fulfill those roles. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's a lot of heavy stuff right
Yeah.
there that we just covered.
Yes.
Folks, there's a lot of heavy stuff to think through, and pay attention to the news and see what Trump's doing. And if you're not on Trump's Facebook feed, or True Social.
Yes. That's like his main site of where everything comes out. It's True Social.
Just stay on there, and he puts out information all the time.